has been a serendipitous couple of days lately because just right after I did the Book of Five Rings episode, I stumbled upon this beautiful book called Zen Flesh, Zen Bones. This is a pretty old book in my collection, and it's just amazing how chance works. Because I mentioned this in the previous episode that to be able to understand Miyamoto Musashi's mindset in his sword discipline, it was mentioned in the previous book that Zen is a part of the pervading or the prevailing philosophy. It's a famous philosophy back then when Musashi was still alive. And so Zen approach to living might be a key, or perhaps is the key, the foundation to understand the Book of Five Rings a bit deeper. And so let's go to this book. This is Zen Flesh, Zen Bones. It's kind of the Christian Bible, if you may, if I could describe it. This is a collection. This is made up of 4 books. 101 Zen stories. The Gateless Gate, 10 Bulls, and Centering. So this collection of books, the compilation of books by the authors, because this is a collaborative effort of Mr. Paul Reps and Nyogen Senzaki. They transcripted. That's not a right word. They transcribed these works that was like in the 1930s to be able to get the message across to a wider English speaking audience, which is right now it's really helpful because worldwide we use English and we understand it. And so this is a monumental work. So it is about Zen. Now Zen is there's no definition of Zen. It says here if it's defined, it's not Zen, but there are descriptions of Zen. Let me quote a bit from the beginning of the 101 Zen Stories book. Quote, Zen might be called the inner art and design of the Orient. It was rooted in China by Bodhidharma, who came from India in the 6th century and was carried eastward into Japan by the 12th century. It has been described as a special teaching without scriptures, beyond words and letters, pointing to the mind essence of man, seeing directly into one's nature, attaining enlightenment. End quote. As I mentioned before, this is a bit like stoicism. Perhaps this stoicism is based on this kind of philosophy and the approach of being, of self-discovery, of getting into the truth and the true nature of things, the quote, true nature of things, end quote, is being said a lot on this book. And these books right here, from the 101 Zen stories up to the centering book, uh, they just go to they just go to the heart of the subject. I think it would be helpful if I just read the foreword by Mr. Paul Reps. Says here, quote, this book includes 4 books. 101 Zen Stories was first published in 1939 by Ryder and Company, London, and David McKay Company, Philadelphia. These stories recount actual experiences of Chinese and Japanese Zen teachers over a period of more than 5 centuries. The Gateless Gate was first published in 1934 by John Murray, Los Angeles. It is a collection of problems called koan that Zen teachers use in guiding their students toward release, first recorded by a Chinese master in the year 1228. 10 Bulls was first published in 1935 by devour and Company, Los Angeles, and subsequently by Ralph R. Phillips, Portland, Oregon. It is a translation from the Chinese of a famous 12th century commentary upon the stages of awareness leading to enlightenment, and is here illustrated by one of Japan's best contemporary woodblock artists. Centering, a transcription of ancient Sanskrit manuscripts, first appeared in the spring 1955 issue of Gentry magazine, New York. It presents an ancient teaching still alive in Kashmir and parts of India after more than 4,000 years that may well be the roots of Zen. End quote. So those are the 4 books that make up this volume right here. It's 4 books. It's pretty short. You can pretty much finish this in a day or 2, but that's reading. That is not, that does not include digesting the concepts and ideas, because it would take a lifetime of study to be able to reach the highest form of illumination that Zen is supposed to give an individual. So, again, Zen, in relation to the Book of 5 Rings, Miyamoto Musashi practiced this. It was suggested by the Book of 5 Rings. And this, by reading this, relating to strategy, this, if you practice this, it's like sharpening your mind. You can use this to sharpen your mind to be in the present moment, like as Alan Watts, the philosopher, said. It's like he described it as Zen is, when you're doing or you're peeling the potatoes, Zen is not thinking about the universe and contemplating about the layers of truth and all of that, while peeling potatoes. Zen is just peeling the potatoes. That's it. And from that description, we can infer that Zen is about being in the moment. It's having a still mind. Every move is deliberate. Nothing unnecessary. It's everything. It's like contemplation first before action. And like as Musashi has described or has written in the Book of Five Rings. As part of the strategy, there he had written some instructions over there that no blinking, no rolling of eyes. You got to be like a still water or a still lake. Like your mind should be as clear as it could possibly be. So when you are, when you encounter some a situation that would require you to act in matters of life and death, such as a sword fight or a war or something like that. You know, some sort of or some form of confrontation, then you could win and you could do the holding the pillow down strategy as described by Musashi. However, uh, it seems like Musashi is applying some concepts of Zen uh, in his discipline, but is not fully following the Buddhist tradition. I guess when he got old, but when he's in his prime, supposed to be, and I think that uh, the moral parts and moral teachings of Zen, he didn't follow it because, of course, he killed a couple of guys. Well, not just a couple, but he killed even a kid. So he's an aggressive man, and but even though in his aggressiveness, underlying it or the concepts and methods that Zen offered to get his sword skills to the levels that the levels it had reached. So let me see. I'm browsing the book here, and there's a section here. What is Zen? And let's just uh, take a quick step back, a little tiny step back. Okay, and it says here, what is Zen? I said that this is the author's words. I'm gonna quote the author on this. So, quote, what is Zen? Question mark. Try it if you wish. Try if you wish, but Zen comes of itself. True Zen shows in everyday living, consciousness in action. More than any limited awareness, it opens every inner door to our infinite nature. Instantly, mind frees. How it frees? False Zen racks brains as a fiction concocted by priests and salesmen to peddle their own wares. Look at it this way, inside out and outside in. Consciousness everywhere, inclusive, through you. Then you can't help living humbly in wonder. What is Zen? One answer. Inayat Khan tells a Hindu story of a fish who went to a queenfish and asked, I have always heard about the sea, but what is this sea? Where is it? The queenfish explained, you live, move, and have your being in the sea. The sea is within you and without you. And you are made of sea, and you will end in sea. The sea surrounds you as your own being. End quote. Another answer, and the following is a blank page. Well, what followed it is a blank page. So, yep, it's a blank page. Not, so a blank page, nothingness. There's a lot of nothingness talk in this book, and from that, it's like the book of the void. It's in the relating back to the book of Five Rings, the last chapter or the last book written by Musashi. uh it is the void, nothingness, the void. So it relates to that. So he's definitely using that sort of existing through the void, kind of like existing in the sea, like in the parable I just read, the fish going to the queen fish. And so this is this book is full of illustrations, really illustrative book, how to harness the potential of nothingness so you could reach your own illumination, and you could also you reach your own illumination, reach your own zen, you know experience how to experience zen again. It can't be defined, you have to try it to experience it. And once you have a bit of a grasp of what zen is, how to get into that mode of being or state of mind, then some doors open, and you will have another view of your existence, and see things, see how you see things around you, and how you move, and how to just approach life in the spirit of zen. So uh let me just illustrate by, well, this is from the first book, and to make things clearer, this is from the 101 Zen Stories compilation. This is the first story, and this is a pretty famous story. Whenever you encounter, if you happen to read, or first time reading or hearing about Zen, this is like the first story that crosses your path. Um, the first story is titled "A Cup of Tea." None in a Japanese master during the Meiji era, 1868 to 1912, received a university professor who came to inquire about Zen. None in served tea. He poured his visitor's cup full and then kept on pouring. The professor watched the overflow until he no longer could restrain himself. It is overfull, no more will go in. Like the cup, like this cup, Nan-in said. You are full of your own opinions and speculations. How can I show you Zen unless you first empty your cup? And that's how the story ends. So it's like it's an anecdote that uh, illustrates how Zen moves, or how that sort of mindset is, how nothingness is, how the importance of nothingness in the study of Zen. This one from the, of course, there's 100 more. That's just one, and yeah, there's a really here's another one. It's one of I think this is the one story that one Zen story that has made an impact on me. I've read this story way back, but I still remember it. I don't remember the exact words, of course, how the story was told, but it would be better. I could tell you, like, I could tell you the gist of it, but I might mangle it. So it's better if I just quote it from the book directly. Here it goes. It's a parable. It says here, Buddha told a parable in a sutra. A man traveling across a field encountered a tiger. He fled, the tiger after him. Coming to a precipice, he caught hold of the root of a wild vine and swung himself down over the edge. The tiger sniffed at him from above. Trembling, the man looked down to where, far below, another tiger was waiting to eat him. Only the vine sustained him. Two mice, one white and one black, little by little, started to gnaw away the vine. The man saw a luscious strawberry near him. Grasping the vine with one hand, he plucked the strawberry with the other. How sweet it tasted! The end. That's how Zen stories go. It's a pretty short story, but illustrates the sort of approach to things. To things. If you really want to follow the path of Zen, then that kind of mindset, like let's digest, or let's deconstruct this a bit. So this is a parable. So this is sort of a myth of the Zen discipline. Um, so it's a parable by Buddha himself. So this just shows, or what I think what he's trying to say is, like, death is just all around you. You know, you can hold into a vine, you can hold on for your dear life to your mortality, but eventually, two mice, one white and one black. I think that it suggests like the yin and yang energies, the white and black, little by little started to gnaw away the vine, like the one you're holding on to. Like chaos and order, yin and yang, those energies, the pairs of opposites will eventually snap it out, and you will get eaten by the tiger monster. Either way, whether you go up, there's a tiger. Whether you go down, there's a tiger. Just like the queen fish told the little fish, you're made of, the sea's in you, and eventually will go to the sea. And so the crux of the message is that he saw a strawberry, so it's a fruit, and it ended with how sweet it tasted, because of course, um, when you become aware of how limited your time is in this space, in this existence, then things just become sweeter. Your life, you just become fuller with life. Things just become more important. Even things like a fruit, like a little fruit, or the fruit that just illustrates it. It's one of that story when I first read its book. It's one that stuck with me. What kind of approach? How sweet it tasted. You got limited time, day by day. There's a poem here as well in this book, and that has a line that says, every minute is as a priceless gem. So this approach to living your day-to-day life is just focus on the nothingness. And again, this is the Eastern way. This was again written, again, these from old writings, and then written in 1933 ish to 1950s for the general public to be aware of. And it's still, it's timeless. It's timeless teachings. And these stories serve as, it can serve as like an appetizers for for the for the study of Zen, you don't the beauty of Zen, I think, is like compared to other traditions, spiritual traditions. Let's say Christianity, for example. If you want to be a follower of this, then if you want to teach, then you have to go into the clergy and all of that structure. That's the way. But this one, you need to, you also need to, if you want to go hardcore, if you want to pursue the spiritual path, then the formal way, then you have to go into a monastery and study with other monks, and like Jesus said, like, throw away your possessions. And this book just is just rich with these stories that just strikes at the heart of things, to your soul and to one's soul, and it just leaves this impression, that kind of expression, how sweet it tasted, and it just ends there. That's it. And the key, I think, is to hold into that impression and to just nurture it and just live it. There's another story here in 101 Zen Stories. It's called Every Minute Zen. And yeah, that's also like the title, just every minute Zen. You have to be on that path. You have to be on that path. And since it's like it's also rooted in bit like Buddhism, it's related. So, it's the middle path, just like what Musashi wrote. Do not deviate from it if you wish to follow his swordsmanship, his discipline, and to become a sword saint. You don't deviate from the middle path, from that path that is established. And so this is from learning strategy. Well, this is a great book to get your mind. This might sound a bit utilitarian and of course um, against the against the Zen principles, because the Zen in this book, the Zen principles just basically says that you can't go into extremes. Just go into the middle. Can't have too much of this emotion. Can't smile. And however, some of the stories also feature some people who are layman practitioners of Zen. They're not like monks and all of that, but um, they laugh and just like and they practice Zen, but they still they they are described as just like being jolly and being happy. There's a story about the happy Chinaman and helping kids and all of that. But it all boils down to like for the monks level of living the Zen, living by the Zen principles. Then there's this tradition and some precepts that you need to follow to be able to get into the next level of the enlightenment. There's a story here that for Zen monks, you can stay in a monastery if they can't beat you. They can beat you with your argument. And so, but if someone from the monastery beats your argument, then you have to go into your own way and be a mendicant, or be a roamer, be a homeless monk, be a beggar, and until you've reached like a level of illumination that's at par with the students of Zen in a monastery, then you gotta stay outside and study like Zen on your own. You can do that. And yeah, that's like the mindset that you need. It's pretty hardcore. It's simple but hardcore, because the simplest things are, there's a saying that the simplest things are the hardest to do. Dr. Carl Jung also said that how hard it is to live the simple life, the simplest life. And so that is how Zen, that's how Zen is illustrated in these stories in the first book. Now, um, going to the second book. The second book is The Gateless Gate. As I've mentioned before, this is like after you've read the 101 Zen stories, you go to the Gateless Gate. These are the problems, the Zen problems, the Zen problems that the high priests or the high, I guess the high Zen priests give to their students to stop their mind from wandering and focus on Zen, to practice Zen every minute Zen. So they give them problems. It's like, let me quote a bit. Let's start. Okay, this is the Gateless Gate. Oh, before that, let me just read the introduction to the book by the author. Right. This quote: If you like sweets and easy living, skip this book. It is about men tremendously intent on being reborn on Satori, enlightenment. It can happen to you in a flashing moment. Something opens. You are new all through. You see the same unsame world with fresh eyes. This universe renewing power comes by grace, not logic. Whatever you do or whatever you are seems to make little difference. It doesn't make sense. It makes you. End quote. And so yeah, these are problems to stop the students because when you into a monastery and you, know, you want to be illuminated, you want to reach enlightenment, your brain or your mind has to be disciplined enough to be able to reach that. But then again, it's not through logic, it's through grace. So there's that complication. There's this some sort of mystery involved into the enlightenment. It's not just like rationalizing everything. It's a combination of like the instinctual and rational approach to the art of your life. So it's the art of turning your one's own life. There's another story again. This is like the your treasure house. The treasure house is inside of you, so everyone must use their treasure house, or everyone must open their own treasure house and use it. So it was like a metaphor for like the illumination or self discovery. And so the gateless gate against paradoxical gateless gate, but think about it. It's yeah, you have to pass through these gates to be able to reach another step into the enlightenment. So there are some comments here from Momon. Momon is a Zen master. So and compared to the 101 Zen stories, he has some commentary here to be able to, I guess, guide the the aspirant. And again, that's where the problems come in. He's you know you're given one situation and there's questions. This one's I think the best one would be the to serve as an example. The short and sweet one is about the short staff. Here it goes. Uh, the short staff. Oh, there's 3 pounds. Yeah, these are problems you should contemplate on these. And yeah, you can you, you can spend all day and all your life until you figure these out and figure the answers and go to your master and get some approval. And yeah, these are like there are okay, I'm looking at the 30th problems here. And these are 40, 42. this goes. The number 43 problem, Shuzan's short staff. A staff. All right, here we go. And this is an example of a koan or a problem. It says here, Shuzan held out his short staff and said, quote, if you call this a short staff, you suppose. Sorry about that. Let me do over. So Shuzan held out his short staff and said, if you call this a short staff, you oppose its reality. If you do not call it a short staff, you ignore the fact. Now, what do you wish to call this? End quote. Mumon's comment, if you call this a short staff, you oppose its reality. If you do not call it a short staff, you ignore the fact. It cannot be expressed with words, and it cannot be expressed without words. Now say quickly what it is. And then, end quote. And then there's a prose. He also comments in prose, or sorry, in poetry about this sort of koan. So I guess this is how the masters answer this dilemma. Okay, it begins like this. It goes like this. Quote, holding out the short staff, he gave an order of life or death, positive and negative, interwoven. Even Buddhas and patriarchs cannot escape this attack. End quote. And so that's just one of the problems. This is like pretty a bit advanced. If you read again the 101 short stories, that's like a primer. That's like the appetizer, and these are the koans. Like if you're if you want to go deeper, a bit deeper and dig deeper into your own, and if you're ready to take on these, phenomenological issues or problems like this. Yeah, these are what Zen masters are thinking, and this is what they contemplate to stop their mind from wandering and go out of Zen. So yep, that's one of the one of the problems presented here at the gateless gate. And you can philosophize it however you want. This is fun with a friend. But again, like in the introduction, if you want an easy, sweet life, all right, you can skip this book. But I guess the opposite is also true, or is implied. Like if you want the hard and opposite of sweet is, anything but sweet life. I guess spicy life. Then you can read these koans and ponder on them and get some illumination, because again, illumination can happen to you in a flash of lightning, and then you have to stay there, and you have to stay there, and you have to want to stay there, because the world, again, this is pretty much related to Buddhism. This is some practices on disengagement and getting rid of attachment to possessions and all of that. And so by disengaging with the material, this illusory existence, this world of things, and the worldly realm, then you become much more, I guess, attached to the spirit realm, which you should also not be attached with, because it's a trap, because being attached to your spirituality is supposed to be not a good thing. And yeah, some advanced stuff for Zen practitioners. I didn't even dare. But then again, these are very useful if you want to get your mind set. For example, if you want to have clear vision and clear mind, you can meditate on these, and then perhaps practice your sword fighting skills, or perhaps go do your project, or do your campaign. And so that's the second book, The Gateless Gate. So the third book is 10 Bulls. I like this one. This is pretty short. It's pretty dense. It's about the different stages of enlightenment, and and yeah, it's illustrated, and the descriptions are in a narrative form, and it's perhaps I'm not sure why they made this a third book. Perhaps this would have been a good second book, but that's just me. So let me read a bit of a passage from the introduction to this third book, The 10 Bulls. So, quote, "The enlightenment for which Zen aims, for which Zen exists, comes of itself. As consciousness, one moment it does not exist, the next it does. But physical man walks in the element of time even as he walks in mud, dragging his feet and his true nature. So even Zen must compromise and recognize progressive steps of awareness leading closer to the ever instant of enlightenment. That is what this book is about. In the 12th century, the Chinese master Kakuan drew the pictures of the 10 bulls, basing them on earlier Taoist bulls, and wrote the comments in prose and verse translated here. His version was pure Zen, going deeper than earlier versions, which had ended with the nothingness of the eighth picture. It has been a constant source of inspiration to students ever since, and many illustrations of Kakuan's bulls have been made through the centuries. End quote. Yep. So this next book, I think, yeah, if I were to make this book personally, I would have made this the second book, because again, this is the steps after reading the stories, and you show the stages of enlightenment, and then perhaps you can present the problems. But anyway, yeah, this is like developed in the 1100 to the year 1100 to 1200. So wow, that's thousands, hundreds of years, but it's still as fresh today. So these are timeless teachings. And so, yeah, but there's some illustrations included in the book to enrich the experience. And let me just uh, read the first one. And the search for the bull. In the pasture of this world, I endlessly push aside the tall grasses in search of the bull, following unnamed rivers lost upon the interpenetrating paths of distant mountains. My strength failing and my vitality exhausted, I cannot find the bull. I only hear the locusts cheering through the forest at night. Comment: the bull never has been lost. What need is there to search? Only because of separation from my true nature, I fail to find him. In the confusion of the senses, I lose even his tracks. Far from home, I see many crossroads, but which way is the right one? I know not. Greed and fear, good and bad, entangle me. Relating to what Musashi has said, entanglement is bad, stickiness is good. So entanglement is not a good situation in terms of confrontation. So yep, the search for the bull. So it's like the bull is a metaphor, or is yeah, that's a metaphor for the true nature. So you search for your true nature. It says here in the comment from the masters that it's not lost. You just merely forgotten it. And to achieve enlightenment, you have to search the bull, and these stories, as it's a progressive story. Then when you find it, and then you gotta tame it, you gotta ride it, and then comes the realization, and that's pretty fun. It's a really short book. It's like a couple of pages. So it's transcending the true self. It's transcending the bull and reaching the source and going back. That's it. It's a couple of pages, like 10 bulls, so it's around 10 pages of short stories, but illustrates a lot about that different stages of enlightenment, that the journey. This is like akin to a simplified version, like a distilled version of the journey towards enlightenment, towards self-discovery, towards finding your own nature. That was what the 10 bulls is about. I think I'm gonna get this for the illustrations are simple yet exquisite. They say so much about the situations. There's movement, and these are these are done in wood blocks, and so the pretty simple illustrations, but exquisite. Again, simple, just the essence of things, and pretty good story. And yep, I think this should be um the third one, and then next will be the koans, the gateless gate. That's the 10 bulls book, and lastly we go into the final book of this compilation. It's called centering. This is what the Sanskrit text, like the ones practiced in Kashmir, dating go back to 4,000 years, and maybe the roots of Zen. And so this is this book is so it's a bit of an instructional book. There's like a hundred ways that if you follow, then you go into this sort of perception trip, or this opens some doors of perception. I can't describe it clearly, so let me just quote the book again. Okay, quote. Okay, here we go. I'm trying to figure out the best one. Okay. Says here, Devi says, "Oh Shiva, what is your reality? What is this wonder-filled universe? What constitutes seed? Who centers the universal wheel? What is this life beyond from pervading forms? How may we enter it fully above space and time, names and descriptions? Let my doubts be cleared." Shiva replies, "Devi, though already enlightened, has asked the foregoing questions, so others through the universe might receive Shiva's instructions. Now follow Shiva's reply, giving the 112 ways. Number 1, Radiant 1. This experience may dawn between two breaths. After breath comes in, and just before turning out. The beneficence. Number 2, as breath turns from down to up, and again as breath curves from up to down. Through both these turns, realize. Number 3, or whenever in-breath and out-breath fuse, at this instant, touch the energyless energy field center. Number 4, or when breath is all out, up, and stopped of itself, or all in, down, and stopped. In such universal pause, one small self vanishes. This is difficult only for the impure. Number 5, consider your essence as light rays rising from center to center up the vertebrae, and so rises livingness in you. End quote. Now that's 5 items right over there. It's like in a yoga. It's some sort of like you're reading your yoga instructor giving you instructions and getting your mind into a place of receptiveness. And there's other methods here talking about being awake. You can feel the omnipresence, how you can be as transformed, you know, and by describing some really little actions that you should feel the reverberation of those little actions into flowering into the huge realizations, like from breaths into your the way you sit and the way you pretty much there's a lot. Right, there's that's the final book of this tome right here. And it's like, how many pages are these? Less than 200 pages. 169. It's like less than 180 pages. And this is a thin book, but this is heavy. It's heavy as hell, or heavy as heaven, or heavy as both heaven and hell. And again, and this is a good companion to understand the Book of Five Rings. If the underlying mindset that if you read this, understand a bit about Zen, and then read the Book of Five Rings, it becomes the Book of Five Rings becomes delivers a clearer message, because you get the references and the frame of mind as Musashi is writing it, and in the action involved, the mindset of the action, like how to cut. So the takeaway is, I guess, going back again to the Book of Five Rings, the decision for you to be able to make a critical cut to your opponent, you must first accept nothingness and death as being you, as part of you. And so you transcend death, and then you can just focus on making the cut. Now, it wouldn't make sense if, again, it wouldn't make sense, that reference, if you haven't read about Zen and what it does and how you should live your life according to it. But yeah, that's one of the takeaways. There's lots of realizations that can happen after reading this book, and then reading Musashi's book. And yeah, these are, and then reading this Musashi's book, and then go to Art of War, which is Musashi's book, is good, again, good companion book to the Art of War. So I guess these three books go hand in hand and should be part of everyone's collection. So Zen Flesh, Zen Bones. Read this first, and then read Musashi's Five Rings, and then read Sun Tzu's Art of War. And yeah, good luck, and enjoy reading. And this is really helpful. These books, and talking about strategy, and talking about execution, and before execution, talking about pre-execution, and conditioning your mind, and keeping your mind still, transparent, clear, with and yeah, with this, I guess, with practicing these mindfulness techniques that Zen Flesh and Zen Bones offers, it's a great foundation for not just spiritual campaigns or spiritual your spiritual health, but also there's some pragmatic, practical applications for this. Really, really good. And yep, it would take a lifetime to understand this. And that's the beauty of it. And most people can go through their life without ever mastering Zen. And it's okay, I think. It's okay. What matters is the value you get from this. And at the very least, these lessons can give you an insight into another form of reality that you might not have discovered, and that you can, by understanding and pondering on these ideas, then you can see the world from a with a new perspective. If if the world is dull, perhaps you should just stop dragging your inner nature, and just there's pointers on this work that can help you get back in touch with your inner nature. And in these times of times of the of widespread disenchantment with life and disillusionment, perhaps this can help someone find a path, or and find a way of life that gives life more color.